I'm Judy Macaluzzo, and I'm the Ocean County Library Senior Services Coordinator. And I just want to welcome you all today, and I want to thank our wonderful partners, the Alzheimer's Association of Greater New Jersey. It's been such a pleasure and so rewarding and so beneficial to work with Nicolette and Robin and all of her volunteer presenters. Every single one of them has been really good. And I think we've had a great benefit to the community.
Thank you, Judy, and thanks for having us. You're an amazing partner, and we so appreciate everything that you and the Ocean County Libraries do. And we're here today. It's a 3-part series, and we did 1 part on Monday, and today will be the 2nd part. And then next Monday, we'll be doing the 3rd part. So it's living with Alzheimer's for care partners, and someone that's in an early stage, kind of navigating through the stage, and how we can help someone living the journey, and you and your family members as well. And I have an amazing community educator with me today, Debbie Montone. She does it all. She does education programs and support groups for people that are caregivers, people living in an early stage. She advocates, you name it, she does it. So we so appreciate her giving her time to us. And please feel free to ask any questions, and we will do our best to answer them and help you.
Welcome, everyone. And Nick, thank you for that introduction. I have worked with this population for many years in all different settings. And I now work or volunteer with the Alzheimer's Association to do educational presentations such as this and facilitate support groups. And in a support group, this is where people get more of a one-on-one. It's a sharing, and truly no one really understands what a care partner goes through unless it's another care partner. And it's just so beneficial to all parties. So with that, we will begin. So we will next. All right, so this particular presentation is going to talk about all the different people and groups that are part of the care team. And the care team, everyone has one, and its purpose is to help a person and a caregiver or care partner navigate through the process of being diagnosed with Alzheimer's and dementia. So you see, if those of you that can see the screen, we start, of course, with the person that has the diagnosis of Alzheimer's and dementia and their care partner. And of course, that really is the center of all the other parts of the team. So we're going to talk about the healthcare community. And there are so many different organizations and people that are out there to help a person. Physicians, not just a primary care physician, but those that specialize, like neurologists, in people with Alzheimer's and dementia. There are nurses, there are pharmacists, social workers, certainly an important point in person to help you find the rest of the resources that are out there. Hospitals and community clinics, and just to name a few. So all of these people are on your healthcare team, the healthcare community. Next. So let's hear from Mary OHara. She's a social worker, and she's at the Cognitive Neurology and Alzheimer's Disease Center at Northwestern University's School of Medicine. Okay, Mary.
At our center, the care team is made up of the neurologists, the neuropsychologist, the psychiatrist, the geriatric physician, and the social worker. And together we work to identify not only the diagnosis, but the most appropriate treatment and care plan for the individual and the family based on the clinical profile, based on the clinical presentation, based on the symptoms that we're seeing in the individual. And studies have shown that having a care team not only helps to improve the individual with a diagnosis, the individual with Alzheimer's disease health, but also helps alleviate stress for the caregiver. They're not having to make a lot of decisions on their own. They have a whole team to call if they have any questions. And I think that's really important with this. There's such an unknown nature and unknown progression of this disease. And for the caregiver to know that they're not alone in this, that they have a team of 5 professionals that they can reach out to and call with questions. So that's how a care team would work in our setting.
One of the things you might have noticed with Mary is that she is part of an Alzheimer's disease center. Of course, not every location in our country has a center, but for those areas that do, it's really a great place to be, because that's what they do every day, and they have all of the healthcare team there and ready to help. Next. So there are approaches, of course, to treatment. We in the Alzheimer's Association only recommend those FDA-approved treatments. That's part of what we call standard treatment. And certainly it's one of the things that you need to have when you begin setting up your healthcare team. Next. Clinical trial involvement. It's only done in conjunction with standard treatment. The Alzheimer's Association has what is called a trial match program. And anyone, for the most part, can participate. I always thought when I heard trials that it had to do with medications, but the Alzheimer's Trial Match Program is really more than that. And, it's on the website. You call if your basic background meets what they're looking for. It's a match. And they're looking for things such as, do you have a history of high blood pressure? Do you have history of other diseases? Are you a diabetic? Do you have heart problems? And the answers to this go in a master database. And, later on when you see studies have shown, a correlation between heart and brain, well, this is one of the places that they get those statistics from. So anyone can be a part of course, you have to be accepted into it. You have to have a certain history or background, but it is such an important part of future studies. And again, Maria Carrillo is a Senior Associate Director, Medical and Scientific Relations, Alzheimer's Association in the National Office. Okay, Maria.
One of the important ways in which someone in the early stages or even middle stages of Alzheimer's disease can get involved in their own trajectory of the disease and in their own health care is by participating in clinical trials. Clinical trials are so important because they are the only mechanism we have through which we can tell whether a drug, an investigational drug, so an experimental drug, is going to work or not. So without people joining clinical trials, we would have no idea which medications will work with people with Alzheimer's disease. Clinical trials are going on right now all over the globe. There are over 100 just going on in the United States alone. And if we don't enroll enough people in those clinical trials in short order, it takes much longer, twice as long sometimes, to actually find out if those investigational treatments will work. For this reason, the Alzheimer's Association has launched a special program that is very easy to use. It's called Alzheimer's Association Trial Match. It can be used via telephone or via internet. It is confidential, it is free, it is the first of its kind that will help match an individual with or without Alzheimer's disease interested in participating in clinical trials with a trial in their area that's actually looking for a person with their type of profile.
You might have read that back in June, there was a new provisional drug that was approved. And they had people with Alzheimer's, early stage Alzheimer's, participate in that. And that was an example of, a clinical trial and being given the medication, see what effect it had. And I'm proud to say one of our members, who's been an important part in the Alzheimer's Association, was part of those clinical trials. He has early onset Alzheimer's, and thanks to his participation and others, it was able to get that provisional approval. Next. So approaches, again, Alzheimer's Association Trial Match. It is free. It is a free service to ease the process of finding a clinical trial. There is specially trained staff that help narrow results so that chances of enrollment are higher. There's education available about what clinical trials entail, what to expect. So please call our toll-free helpline and ask for a trial match specialist. And that toll-free number, that 24-hour helpline, is 1-800-272-3900, and you'll see me talk about that number. But in this case, we're talking about Trial Match, and you can also get to it online at alz.org/trialmatch. Okay. So let's take a look at another part of your healthcare team. And that is family and friends and work people, because, early onset, chances are a person is working, is, right in the middle of their career. And sometimes they are the people who first notice something is different. So we're going to talk about their role and about should a person or should a person not disclose the diagnosis. That's a very hard decision. Okay, and here's Sue's sister, Mary Ann, who has that diagnosis of Alzheimer's disease. Okay.
I would hope that families could be gentle but straightforward. I would hope that they wouldn't minimize the challenge of this or make it larger than it needs to be. So I guess I would say you have to be aware that changes are coming, but they're coming, inch by inch and sometimes foot by foot. But most often, you just have to talk about it, not to be afraid to talk about it, not to be worried about how to talk about it, but talk about it. Because if you don't, I think that there's going to be 1 or 2 days where you just find there are arresting moments and you have no idea where to put that or how to manage that. Not to be afraid, just to talk.
And again, that is so important what she said. A lot of times people don't know what to say and don't call or don't even come visit. So person has to reach out themselves and reassure whoever it is that, it's okay to call them, talk to them, stop by, that it's important. As we all know, we need people around and just to talk, whether, it's about what the day is or, if they want to talk about what's happening with their diagnosis. But sometimes you have to make the first step and reach out and assure people it's okay to call me, please, do that. Next. And so as we said, not all friends and family adjust to a diagnosis. And, there's a lot of diagnoses like that, but certainly Alzheimer's is right there on top. Again, try to open the lines of communication. You take the initiative. Keep gatherings small, keep them simple. Don't, have a huge amount of people, a little get together. Relax together. Now, of course, all the holidays are coming, and we tend to have a lot of people. Some people do, but, think about it. Is it going to be too overwhelming? Are there going to be too many people talking? It becomes very hard to, keep track of what everybody is saying. And, make your gathering is what is good for you, and that's okay. But, talk. This is a great time, all these holidays coming, and, talk about, it's okay to talk about. And, you'll take the initiative and people will feel a little better, a little more relaxed about talking and seeing you. Next. All right, let's hear about Marshawn's grandmother, Josephine, and she has a diagnosis of Alzheimer's disease. Okay, Marshawn.
I know the first person I immediately think of is my grandfather, because they still live together. It's just the two of them in the house. And I know that he's been stressed already as a caregiver of undiagnosed. And now that she's diagnosed, I'm curious as to how that's going to change. I think it's going to change for the better, in the sense that we know what we're dealing with for sure, and that we can provide them with the, correct information. But it's tough for the two of them. I mean, they're not young. My grandmother's 78. She'll be 79 on Thursday. And my grandfather, if she's turning 79, then he must be 78, because they're right around the same age. So it's not easy. There's no one young in the house. And my family, we're all very close knit, and we're very close in proximity. But it's going to be a juggle, because we're all professionals. We all, most of us actually travel for work. So we're kind of all over the place. It's definitely going to take us coming together, but we need to have that conversation, and that's something that we haven't had yet.
Yeah, that conversation is going to be really important. As Marshawn was saying, most everybody travels during the week. That's something a family has to, talk about. Okay, right now everything, is working out, and Josephine seems to be able to function. But what's going to happen when that changes? What is, as a family, what are their options? One of the great things about the Alzheimer's Association is you can go into either the alz.org or call the 800 number and see what your options are. You have anything from daycare enrollment for people. You have respite if, sometimes you just need a break. You have places where one can move to, certain, there's a lot now, actually, I should say, of facilities out there. Many of them are strictly for people with dementia and Alzheimer's. And I think that shows, because I don't know about your area, but I think so also, is that there's a lot of facilities opening up that are strictly for dementia and Alzheimer's. And I think that they must have seen the statistics as well, how they expect, how they expect the numbers to grow. Right now, there are 6 million people living with Alzheimer's. And certainly one is expecting that that is going to continue to increase. And I think that is really one of the big reasons so many new facilities are opening up. But that's good, because their goal is to provide all the different types of care that someone with Alzheimer's disease needs, as well as support the person caring for them. Okay, so family and friends are on the team. And if you see the circles there, where underneath a person with Alzheimer's dementia, and the care partner is the center. We've talked about the healthcare community, and there's family, friends, and work. And I think that's an important thing to talk about as well. So family and friend meetings, how to provide the best care for the person with Alzheimer's. And I think, best care, not according to everybody, the family, but, make sure you include the person with Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's Association has a publication called 10 Ways to Help a Family Living with Alzheimer's. And so let me talk about that, if everybody okay. And I see in the chat, and before I go on, how long does it take to progress? Everyone is different. Generally, early onset progresses a little bit quicker than someone who is later on in life. And that's the unfortunate part of the early onset. Beginning stages, middle stage, and that last stage. The middle stage is probably the longest. And again, everyone is different. When you get to the end stage, of course, that that's the end. And but again, there's no set timeline. And that's that's part of the, part of Alzheimer's that, is difficult. And when you say it's quicker, within 5 years, you certainly start to see changes. Well, certainly within the 5 years. Again, I wouldn't want to put a time, but in comparison to people that are older, you see them, becoming worse and getting all the different symptoms much earlier than people who get it late in life. The last place I was at before the pandemic, life seems to be before pandemic and after pandemic, was a daycare for people with Alzheimer's. And we had some early onset people. And, truly these were individuals with young children, in the middle of their career. And from a couple of months from when they started to, right before the pandemic, because we weren't there that long, you could see the changes beginning. So, that is, that's one of the sad parts of that. And that's why these clinical trials are so good. That medication that came out in June, with that provisional approval, as I said, one of the members and people that we know was first part of the clinical trials, and now is taking it. And in his words, he says, because the big problem people have, it only had a 28% success In his words, he's like, right now I have no hope. If I have 28% chance of my life being extended, being able to watch the kids grow up a little bit more, create some memories, then why not? And that's, I always remember that when the discussion comes up about the 28%. Right? So 10 ways to help a family living with Alzheimer's. So number 1, educate yourself about Alzheimer's disease. Learn about its effects and how to respond. And these programs that you've been watching is just one way of doing that. People can log on to our Alzheimer's site. There is so much material, information out there. So, keep educating yourself. Stay in touch. Number 2, a card, a call, a visit, something that shows you care, that you haven't forgotten them. Be patient. All right. Adjusting to an Alzheimer's diagnosis is an ongoing process, and each person reacts differently. And, there's, again, no one way to have an expectation. Well, they're going to do this and this and this. It's kind of like the stages of, dying. It's that denial, that anger, acceptance to a point. Those are the things that, people go through, as well as caregivers. Okay, number 4, offer a shoulder to lean on. Everyone needs to know that there's someone, at least someone out there, that you can call on the bad days. A lot of people don't want to know you on the bad days, but make you the person who lets the loved one know that I'm here, call me, I'll call you, and you can lean on me. Number 5, include the person with dementia in any conversations. Right now, why not? They understand they should be a part of decision making for as long as they can. So, don't talk, if you're talking to somebody on the healthcare team, don't talk above their heads, as if they're not there. Talk with the person. They have a right to listen and state an opinion. All right, number 6. Help the family tackle its to-do list. And, you can help them prepare a meal or run an errand or provide a ride. Whatever it is that you can do, help them. Those are the easiest and simplest ways. And, certainly, any of those are so important to keeping, your to-do list going. Invite family members to join you in leisure activities. Now, depending upon where people live, if you're going to go to the park, invite people to come to the park with you. You're going to go out and get a bite. You can do that too. Just like normal, for as long as you can, and it's so important to the people. Offer a reprieve. Spend time with the person living with dementia so family members can enjoy some me time. That's one of the first things I ask people when we are in our support groups is, what did you do for you? I know you're doing all of these things for your loved one with Alzheimer's and dementia. What have you done for you? You have to take care of you, because something happens, and now you got 2 people who need help. So really important. a volunteer to come over for an afternoon so you can get your nails or your hair, or just simply, do some shopping. But, that's really one of the best things. Offer that reprieve. Be flexible. All right, the family needs time to adjust, to assess where they're at, what their needs are. If they don't accept your offer right away, offer again. It takes a little bit to figure out, all right, now what do we have to take care of? What do we need? What do we have? And finally, get involved. Get involved with the Alzheimer's cause and show your support. We've just finished with all of our walks this fall, and it's a great way for the person, the family, the friends to get out to those parks and walk for Alzheimer's. And it's a beautiful sight with all the flowers with different colors, like pinwheel flowers, the different colors having to do with you have Alzheimer's, your loved one has Alzheimer's, you're interested in Alzheimer's, and they all, walk together with their flowers held high, and it really is beautiful. And do that. It's one way that Alzheimer's Association raises both awareness and money about Alzheimer's. And some of the other things, just while we're on this topic, that you can do is June is the longest day. And in June, the longest day happens to be the longest day, where we go from spring to summer. And it's another way of raising awareness and raising money. So these are ways that you can get involved with the Alzheimer's Association. You can, of course, do things like this, as present programs. Okay, so that's the 10 steps that we have that really can help a person with Alzheimer's. If you do one of them, that's fantastic. All right, next. Let's talk about family and friend meetings. And, my advice is, do a one friend maybe at a time, or if there's 3 of you that are friends, and the conversation is really, it's okay, come on over. Maybe men play cards and the women chit chat, or whatever it normally was done. Tell that at that meeting. For now, it's okay. Let's continue those things. You'll know when you have to change that. And work, especially with early onset or the early stage. If people are still working, there really are, some decisions that you have to have knowledge about and make. First of all, a lot of times if you are working, it's your work friends that notice something's different. Maybe you can't do your task or your assignment as quickly as you might have done it before, or if it involves numbers, maybe the numbers are coming out wrong. But generally they notice something is different. There are many places that will make adaptations so you can continue to work. One of the questions or decisions is, all right, I really can't do this job anymore. I'm going to retire. I'm going to, whatever. And got to think a minute. If you're working and you can't work because of Alzheimer's, there's disability, and that is income that one can get with this diagnosis. If there's an HR department and an HR person, it's a good idea to talk with them, and they will know the ins and outs of what they have. But before you just retire, see if you can go on disability until you're the age of retiring. Next. All right, John has a diagnosis of Alzheimer's disease. Okay, John.
The imperative thing is to get a diagnosis as soon as possible. I know you hear most of the literature saying that you should continue to work as long as possible, but there are problems with that. If you work and you don't make your management know what's happening and your human relations department know what's going on, then you run the risk of being terminated from a job that probably has a disability insurance with that job. COBRA doesn't address that. If you get fired from a job, you can continue your health and your drug coverage and such. And if you have extra money, your vision and your dental for up to 18 months. But disability insurance is not part of COBRA. So if you lose your job before you acknowledge that you have a problem that qualifies you for disability, then you're facing financial ruin.
All right, and he pretty much, kind of expanded the things that I had said. Don't just quit. Talk to your HR department. Talk about, disability, and after that you can make better decisions. Okay, so let's talk about community resources. And of course, the Alzheimer's Association is one such resource that is out there for everybody in any part of the country and the world too. But certainly contact the Alzheimer's Association, go online, or again, call that 800 number, and you'll tell them, your zip code, where you are, where are you in this process, and you will be directed, maybe not at that instant, but someone will call you back and help you find the right direction, and where, who, and what, and where you need help with. Legal and financial professionals, and this is one thing, again, when early on in the process, and things that I talk about in a support group, is get your legal and financial papers in order as to where you are in, at this point in life. And while you both can have a share in what you want and your wishes and your desires, but we all have one. Probably we did it somewhere, but probably decades have gone on. Life changes, people have passed away. Usually husband and wife, one will take care of the matters if the other one passes. But, suppose the husband now has Alzheimer's, and you are, your papers say that if something happens and you can't make decisions, you have your husband do it. But wait a minute, the husband has Alzheimer's. So these are the kind of things that you need to go over and make sure they're up to date for where you are now. As far as the medical team, geriatric care managers, I'm including in part of that, they are specialists in the different resources out there for geriatric care. Will kind of help manage what you need. Good thing, very good thing to have someone in your court there and can help you navigate. Your clergy, we all have emotional needs with this diagnosis, and for many people, the clergy is the best, where they feel they can talk openly and freely and get some support there. And community agencies. There's so many different agencies, whether it's for nursing care, home health aides, help you navigate to the right facility. Again, call that 800 number, tell them where you are, what they will again help you find different agencies, and you may or may not know what you're looking for, but they will certainly help, maybe things that have to do with driving, finding the right, agency for home care or respite or daycare. So there's so many options out there that you're probably not even aware of. And these people should be part of who you consider on your care team. Next. So some other community resources out there. As we talked about before, volunteering at some point, it's probably, or maybe it may help or may not help while you're going through this process, but certainly afterwards, you're such an asset to help others. Social programs, whether again a daycare type program, a lot of your community centers also have programs for people with Alzheimer's and dementia. Counseling, it's really okay to say you need counseling. In fact, it's again, one of those beginning things that I do with people is just a little questionnaire. And it's about, do you think you need counseling? And I say, go for it. It is such a help. And contact that Alzheimer's Association. Again, talk about support groups. It's great to have them. I don't know if down in Ocean County Library area, you have a support group. If you think there's an interest, certainly contact Robert or Nicolette. The helpline, again, it's so important. You can call it 24 hours a day, any day of the year. And 3 o'clock in the morning, sometimes we just can't sleep because so many things are going through our head. Pick up the phone, call that 1-800-272-3900 number. And whatever's on your mind, what you think you need, what you don't even know if you need it, and someone does respond back almost immediately, I think. And then the online community. We have this 24-hour, it's like a whiteboard. People write messages on it, and with those messages, what do I do about, or I'm going through this, or whatever is on your mind, and people write back. So it's really good. That's ALZ connected. And utilize it.
Support public libraries. Like, share, and subscribe for more great videos.